Do you have any further questions for this witness?
Yes, Judge.
You
May
may proceed.
it please the court, counsel. Detective Smith, if you would please, can you share with us, do you know the height difference between row B and row A?
It's approximately 10 inches between each floor height. There's 2 steps in between each one that are about 5 inches each.
Okay. All right. I don't have any further questions of Detective Smith, Judge.
All right. Mr. Escobar, do you inquire this witness?
I do. Detective, when you were given this assignment to go and search out this video, were you told by Detective Proctor to be looking for, possibly a cell phone hitting Mr. Reeves beside the head?
When I first received the video, we just asked Cobb to give us snippets of any cameras that covered that angle. I have not done anything to try to enhance the video or to examine any further different items in it at this point.
Is then your answer that no, Detective Proctor never asked you to try to look at the video for evidence of a phone coming across the video area?
He asked me to review it for evidence of how the event occurred. He did not specifically ask me to look for a phone, no.
Okay. And so I would imagine one of the things that you would have found to be very helpful would have been a program that would have allowed you to capture frame by frame that event, correct?
No, sir. At our level, we would probably have a certified lab or somebody that's more qualified to enhance the video, things like that, because...
I'm not talking about enhancing. I'm just talking about frame by frame playing of that video.
Yes, sir. And at my job description level, I guess you would call it, I don't have access to software that does that.
You may not have access, but my question was, you would have liked to have done that to be able to see frame by frame, correct?
No, sir. It has not come up so far in the investigation.
You would not have liked to have a frame by frame viewing of that video?
We watched the video as the incident occurred to see what's there. You can pause it at different places and look to analyze different things that you're looking at. The digital video, however, is not in a frame format, I guess is the most correct answer. It plays straight through. It's not like traditional film where you have individual frames.
I understand that, but my question was simply, would you have liked to have had a frame by frame viewing of the video so that you could see it as best as you could?
At this point, with my ability to pause it on the computer and rewind and fast forward to where I want to see, then no, sir, I haven't seen any benefit to doing it that way as opposed to just watching it on the media player.
Now, you indicated that you could stop it at
Yes,
certain
sir.
frames, correct?
You can stop it at any point in time during the video, not on a frame per se, because the frame doesn't exist, I guess.
Okay, well, you could have stopped it at second marker 24.
Yes, sir.
And second marker 25.
Yes, sir.
And second marker 26.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Correct.
Did you do that?
Yes, at many different times. I've watched the video multiple times and paused it and started again and rewound to look at different sections of the video, yes.
Now, in addition to that video, you indicated that, I guess you went and examined the area of the incident?
Yes, sir. As crime scene detective, my general responsibility would be to just confer with the forensic investigators that are taking measurements, collecting evidence, photographing, help direct different things just to make sure, certain things are documented and just to have an overall awareness of the items that are in the scene.
And were you able to see a phone in the area of the incident?
Yes, sir, I did.
And that phone was actually in row A, was it not?
It was in the very top row of the theater. Unfortunately, the theater does not designate row letters, numbers, or seat numbers, but it would be in the very top row next to the Cinebistro wall.
And that top row would be the one that the seats have a 6-foot wall behind it?
Correct, sir.
And that would have been the same seat that Mr. Reeves was seated?
In that same row, yes, sir.
Okay. And you saw the actual phone on the floor of that same seat, Mr. Reeves' seat?
So the phone was on the floor in front of that row. At that point in time, when I saw it, I couldn't have told you exactly which seat Mr. Reeves was in.
Well, what about today?
At this point, since there's no numbered seats, I can tell you where the phone was seen in our scene. I don't know which, again, there's no designation of row and seat number, so I can't tell you I guess, a designator of which seat it was, no, sir.
What was important to you, was it not, to determine whether that phone was in front of, or the floorboard in front of Mr. Reeves, correct?
Through the witnesses' descriptions that were there, we felt it was probably within one seat, one way or the other of the area, but I was not aware at that time of which exact seat he was in.
You didn't touch the phone?
No, sir.
You made sure that your group preserved the phone?
Yes, sir. It's typical at any crime scene. Things were photographed and measured before they were collected, and then they were collected as evidence.
And your collection methods is in an effort to preserve that phone for all sorts of evidence that may be on it?
Yes, sir.
DNA, fingerprints, what have you, correct?
Anything we may attempt to gather in the future, yes,
And
sir.
certainly if that phone was thrown by Mr. Olson at Mr. Reeves' head, you would want to preserve anything on that phone for evidence of it striking Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. At the time we collect from a crime scene, we preserve it because we don't know what type of evidence might be on it, so we try to preserve everything we can for any future analysis, yes.
Now, there at the scene, were you given information concerning witness descriptions of what had taken place during the incident?
Yes, sir.
And you were told that, in fact, there was an allegation that Mr. Reeves was throwing something at, Mr. Olson was throwing something at Mr. Reeves.
Yes, sir. The allegation I was aware of at that time was that he had thrown a bag full of popcorn.
Well, what was the allegation concerning the phone?
There was none. At the time the phone was found on the floor, we did not know who the owner of it was. We did not know if it belonged to Mr. Reeves, Mr. Olson, or any of the other patrons that might have been there.
And so you didn't even know that there was an allegation by Mr. Reeves that Mr. Olson had struck him on the head with a phone?
I was made aware that he was alleged he had been struck by something, and that witnesses had said they saw a bag of popcorn thrown, and that was what I was.
Had you been told that the allegation was that specifically he had been struck by a phone?
No,
So
sir.
I would object to the characterization and question. And again, Judge, I would remind the court, you heard the audio tape of Mr. Reeves. He says he may have been hit with a fist. He may have been hit with a phone. He doesn't know. So to state that he was hit with a phone is a mischaracterization of his taped interview. The last thing he said was he didn't know.
Overruled as to those objections, I'll use my own recollection as to what the evidence is. You may continue, Mr. Escobar.
Did you do anything there at the scene to determine whether that phone had a screen light where when you touched it, it lit up?
No, sir. At that time, it was just simply collected and bagged, and the power button on the top of the phone was turned off. We didn't do any...
Why did you turn the power button on the phone off?
That's one of our steps in preserving electronic evidence, because there are many applications out there that can interfere with, say, a phone that may be locked or remotely wiped of information, things like that. So we shut it off so that things like that can't happen, and to preserve any of the electronic media that may be on it.
When you shut that phone off and you touched it, did the light go on?
No, sir. The light, just being generally familiar with that model of phone, with the iPhone, when you push the button on the top that's not part of the screen, you'll get I believe the Apple logo comes on, but I'm not the one that turned it off myself, so I can't tell you for sure what it displays when it turns off.
Okay. And so your experience with those phones is that the screen will light up when you touch the screen?
If you touch the screen, or actually no, sir, if the screen is not on, it will not light up if you touch the screen, only if you push what they call the home button or the circular button at the bottom, or the button on the top of the phone, I believe.
Okay. Do you know what model of iPhone that was?
I do not, sir. It was an Apple iPhone, but I don't know which designator it was at that point.
Do you know what the weight of that phone was?
No, sir, I don't.
And do you know the size of that phone?
No, sir.
One other question about the video that I think is somewhat important. The video appears to have some light to it, meaning it's not, doesn't appear to have that dark theater atmosphere. Is that correct?
As far as background lighting, you mean, sir?
Yeah, it looks, everything looks bright. It doesn't look like a dark theater. Is that because of the infrared night vision that it has?
It's a combination of the light that's available, sir, because the inside the theater, the lighting is never completely off. They have the can lights in the ceiling that are on, but yes, also the infrared helps brighten up the image.
Because that infrared is almost equivalent to that night vision that many cameras possess, correct?
I guess it depends on the type of camera, sir, but it's projected infrared light from the cameras or from other sources that the lens can recognize that the human eye doesn't typically see.
So you can't tell this court here that what you're seeing in the form of light on that video is, by any stretch of the imagination, accurate?
It is accurate to the video, sir, not necessarily visible to the naked human eye at the time.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. State, do you have any redirect for this
Just
witness?
one question, Judge. Detective Smith, there appears to be particles floating in the air on the video. Do you know what those particles were?
Yes, sir, I spoke with the Cobb technicians, and also after viewing the video, feel it was dust that was on top of the camera. When the shot was fired, the concussion inside the enclosed room just caused the dust to fly in the air.
So essentially, those are just dust particles that you see throughout the video? then?
Yes, sir, dust that was dislodged after the
Okay.
shot was fired.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, Detective.
Thank you, sir.
Your speech.
Your Honor, we'd like to reserve our right to recall him on
All right, Detective Smith, don't leave the building, okay? All right. State, do you have any further witnesses you want the court to hear from in this bond hearing?
No, sir.
All right. Is the victim going to make a statement today? Mr. Rinaldi?
No.
No statement?
No.
Okay. Do you wish to call any rebuttal witnesses in this bond hearing?
We have a couple things. Number one, we want the autopsy of Mr. Olson introduced into evidence.
Do you have any objection, State?
I do, Judge.
Okay. Do you have a witness that you're going to call for the autopsy to be introduced?
Your Honor, as a court, we just got this voluminous discovery, and we have not. We just spoke to our expert last night concerning certain aspects of this. This is an Arthur hearing where hearsay is allowed. It's also a bond hearing where the rules of evidence are relaxed.
Absolutely, but don't I need a witness for this?
I don't believe you do, Your Honor. I believe that under an Arthur hearing, just like they had a out-of-court hearsay affidavit with numerous witnesses saying numerous things in that affidavit at the initial hearing, and they used that in the Arthur hearing to show presumption-grade proof evident, we have the ability as well. This is the government's medical examiner that actually authored this particular report. And it's an important report because it suggests, Your Honor, that the victim...
Wait, don't tell me that yet. Let's stay with whether I'm going to admit it before you try to tell me what's in it. The copy that you have, is there an affidavit of authenticity that came with it?
It's actually signed, Your Honor, by the medical examiner in the very front, and it talks about his actual findings.
All right. Now, if you are going to introduce that, you're going to introduce that for me to review it without the assistance of any interpretation by any witness? That's what you
Absolutely.
want.
It's self-explanatory, Your Honor.
Okay. State, do you have any objection to me receiving the autopsy report authored by the medical examiner of the 6th Judicial Circuit, or one of the assistant medical examiners?
No, I don't have an objection to that, Judge. I do have an objection to Mr. Escobar making arguments based upon the autopsy because you would need an expert in order to give these findings, Judge, and explain the findings.
All right, well, it's one thing to introduce it, it's another thing that the argument that's going to flow from it. As far as autopsies and autopsy reports, I've seen a lot of them. So if he's going to be arguing to me, I understand what's conclusion and what's the facts set out in the autopsy. Is it your intention to tell me that I should draw some conclusions that I need a medical examiner to explain to me, or you just want me to read the report and take the words on the page?
Take the words on the page.
You want the words on the page. Is there any reason I shouldn't read the words on the page,
No,
Mr.
sir.
Garcia?
No, sir.
All right, I'll accept it into evidence as defense. We're on 3 for the 4 for the defense, right? 5? 5. You haven't moved the Seagate in yet.
It may, Your Honor, at some point in time.
Well, then this is 4, and it's in line. It'll be 5 if it gets in.
Your
All
Honor,
right.
we would introduce the medical, excuse me, let me show it to him, make sure
I
that.
have.
You got it?
You good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me read it. This will be now 4 in evidence. Give me a minute to review it, and then, are you going to have any witnesses you're going to want to call?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay.
And we're going to need to set up maybe 3, we've got all of our equipment there, we just got to bring it forward. and my witness is outside.
All right, we'll start getting it set up, get your witness on deck, and let me read this. State, is there any personal information that needs to be redacted here? Victim's representatives present. Why don't you let Mr. Grimaldi take a look at it and see if there's any personal information he wants redacted. I'm not seeing anything that's jumping out at me immediately, but my expectation is that given the medical nature of it, there may be.
Just so the court knows, that gentleman helping this reservoir set up is the next witness.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Judge, we would ask that any personal information about Mr. Olson be redacted from the autopsy report.
All right, what I'll do is I'll introduce two autopsy reports. I'll put one in as Defense Exhibit 4, and that will be redacted. And then I'll put an original copy in. I'll order that to be sealed, and I'll call it Court's Exhibit 1. If you could please highlight on yours what you want redacted specifically, then before anybody else gets their hands on it, I'll consult with Mr. Escobar and we'll see what needs to be redacted. Perhaps y'all could agree, and then we'll mark one and seal the other.
Judge, I know that you are reading the autopsy report, but one of the issues that we need to address is that the state of Florida has never had an opportunity to view this video. I think, just as the defense has had opportunities to view videos, I think we should be likewise given a courtesy to view this, to see what's being presented.
Any reason they shouldn't get to see it also?
Judge, it's their hard drive, but I'm fine with that. We didn't take video from any other source. We took it from this hard drive that they downloaded the video, and it's actually the same left side that, but I'll be more than glad to play for them. If we want to do it, quickly, we can do it right up there.
I'm thinking they're probably going to want to see it in private before it's viewed by everyone. I'm thinking the only way that's going to happen is if I clear this room. So it sounds like we're going to take our 10-minute recess.
Your Honor, we can also take the laptop and bring it to Your Honor. We can do it that way as well. It doesn't have to be...
I don't need to see it first. They want to see it first.
Whatever the court's pleasure.
We don't mind looking at off the laptop, Judge.
Is it the same on the laptop as it is on the HD projector? All right, just show it to them on the laptop. You can come up and see it up here.
Do you need these?
Okay.
How long do you guys expect this witness will take?
Your Honor, not long at all. I'd say 20, 25 minutes.
Okay, good.
Judge, could Mr. Grimaldi come up and talk?
This is what you're planning, or what is he? Yeah, just same thing your guy did. He from this hard drive, these discs, from these discs, he put it on his computer.
How do we know those discs are the same?
Because he's going to testify to that.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.